Hi, my name is Michelle Hoskin, and I am the founder and director of Standards International. And I'm going to take a few minutes to talk you through a number of questions that we get asked by the sector, by financial advisors about ISO 22222. So, this is a very interesting question. Now, as a sector, as you know, we are absolutely saturated with qualifications, designations, and academic achievements. It's our belief that in order to prove your excellence and your professionalism, it takes way more than an extensive level of knowledge to do that. Financial planners are amazing at their jobs, but I have met some very smart, very highly academic and qualified financial advisors and planners who, quite honestly, I would not select as my financial advisor or planner. ISO 2 is the difference. It is going to be the new global standard for financial planners. Why? Because it is a whole person achievement. It looks at a person's behaviors, their ability to apply their knowledge, their skills, their ethics, their principles, and the way that they interact with others, including their colleagues, their team members, and of course, their clients. This is not about what you know, it's about how you apply your knowledge in your whole role as a financial planner. This is not about the quality of your knowledge, this is about the quality of your being, how you do your role, how you interact with individuals, and how you strive and achieve absolute professional excellence in every single thing that you do. Because of the way that standards are written, all standards put the client at the center of the relationship, the center of the standard. Now, in ISO 2's case, the client is actually a multi-level concept. So you have, in the obvious sense, the client, i.e. the consumer, that the financial planner is giving financial advice to. At the same time, it might be that a paraplanner is the client to that financial advisor when working on a case together. It might be that the business manager is the client in the case when the financial planner is working with them about booking client meetings. So the client relationship and relationships as a whole are always put at the center of all international and British standards. So what we're trying to understand when we take you through this journey is to understand how you, as an individual, help meet the needs of your clients, regardless of who that client is. Everything else then hangs off of that relationship in order for you to demonstrate your excellence in that role. It's interesting. The time is changing. The world has finally caught up. So let me give you a scenario. So previously, and over the last 10 years or so, qualifications and academic achievements have been the big thing. Chartered status, firm's chartered status, accredited firm status, CFP. And what was very interesting in the world is changing. I recently attended an event where we sat around a table which was represented by 17 countries. And it was interesting that none of them really referenced and talked about qualifications, even though the actual subject was of the meeting education and qualifications. But what was interesting is the world is changing. We're starting to recognize that it's about the whole concept, the whole holistic approach to delivering financial advice. And that requires the individual, the financial planner or advisor, to have a holistic approach to their development, their knowledge, and their expertise. So I think what's happening is the world is seeing that academic achievements is at one level, but actually there is so much more that sits around it. This is why we believe financial planners are waking up to the fact that it's not about their knowledge that makes them great at their job. It's about everything else that they do and how they do it. Why I think that initial change, that initial question that comes into their mind is, does my academic achievements make me good at my job? And the answer quite simply is not. It's a massive contributing factor, no question, but it doesn't make them the people that they are. I have experienced, and I have met, as have many of my team, we have met some amazing, amazing financial planners, but they're not the highest qualified. They've not got the highest designations. They have just got a broad set of qualities that just make them amazing at their job. As with the world and how it's changing, we are now finding, as is quite common, that there's paraplanners, that there is administrators, that there are other advisors working within that process. The ISO 2 standard does have the 6 stages of financial planning at the center of what it is about. So naturally, there are other people within your team that work on that process with you. If we are assessing you during that process and how you deliver that process, we therefore have to spend time with the other people that are involved in that journey with you. That might be administrators, that might be paraplanners. It's really key that we understand how that whole process is delivered. It is no longer about you as a financial planner being able to deliver those 6 stages of financial planning, because I know very few of you actually do that on your own. So we want to engage with others in your business, others in your team, who are also playing their own very important part at every level in delivering those 6 stages of financial planning to that client and everything else that sits around that journey. That is where ISO 2 comes into its own. The terminology globally has changed and continues to change on a daily basis. ISO 2 is for personal financial planners. Now, sadly, the market in the UK and overseas has kind of abused that title. I have advisors who call themselves lifestyle financial planners. I have clients who call themselves financial advisors, wealth managers, wealth architects. I mean, we know that the title conundrum will be a continuous problem. ISO 2 is for financial planners, and it expects that financial planners do holistic financial planning. It is also, we have advisors who actually call themselves advisors because that's their choice, but actually the evidence that we gather and the proof that we see of them doing their job is actually financial planning. But they choose to, for whatever reason, call themselves financial advisors. As we've talked about previously, the ISO 2 is an ISO standard, which means it's internationally designed and created. The ISO 2 standard took 7 years to create. It kicked off in 2000 with the total creation of it really being launched much later, but there was 17 organizations globally which represented the development committees of this standard. This is not a standard that was plucked out of thin air, that was designed overnight. A huge amount of blood, sweat and tears went into the design of this standard. This is not a fly-by-night achievement, accreditation, certification or qualification. This is a best practice standard of how a financial planner should conduct their everyday work when dealing with clients and their team members. Now, how do we assess financial planners against a book? Well, interesting, because it is a standard. It is a published document, so therefore you would call it a book, I guess. It's a framework. So inside the standard, if you have a little bit of a deep dive look, it's got requirements. It's all outputs driven. So for example, it would say a financial planner shall be able to apply their knowledge and give advice to clients in a language that is understandable. So it's an outputs, results driven process. So therefore, we are looking for evidence of how that financial planner does that. That might be a case study, that might be feedback from a client, that might be reviewing a case, that might even be a physical, face-to-face, real-life role play. Our assessment methods are broad because there is no way we can do this by a test. We can't sit you in an exam room and make sure that you're doing this job properly. There's no way. We have to interact. We have to see evidence, see you in practice, and we do that in some cases face to face, but in most cases we do it over remote methods. But we need to understand how you do your job on a day-to-day basis. How long does it take? Well, that depends on where you're starting from. We have financial advisors who want to transition to becoming financial planners and use ISO 2 as their framework to do that. That can take anything up to 3 years because they're not just changing, their knowledge, they're changing their experiences and they're changing the way that they basically do their whole job. For others who are nearly there, it can take much less time because it's a case of just tweaking a few bits as they need to in order to meet the requirements of the standard. But my suggestion would be you need to allow at least 12 months to really understand the standard, really embrace what it is, how it affects your business, how it affects you as an individual, and what does awesome look like. So allow about 12 months, we recommend, from start to finish of the process. So this is a standard that is it's not going to go away. It's not just something that has been designed overnight. This is a global best practice framework. And with the changes happening overseas with regards to increased academic knowledge, more demands from consumers, the need for professionals to be more professional in every single thing that they do, ISO 2 is the only standard that assesses the whole person, not just their application of their knowledge or their knowledge itself. So join us if you are interested. Please reach out to us. We will have and engage in a conversation with you to make sure that this standard is right for you, most importantly, and we can have that conversation. And if that is the case and we feel that this is a perfect fit, we will send you through the application process and we will take you through the journey and we will be by your side through every single step.